Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Welcome to the free live masterclass, How to Create a Dream Balance Between All Your Roles, Responsibilities, and Goals as a Career Muslim. Now, we held this masterclass live yesterday, and I forgot to press the record button for the first few minutes, and I feel really silly about it, kind of like this. So I decided to make this first clip of recording so that when you guys go into the training, you don't feel lost and confused like what's going on. Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Eamon Saifullah. I'm a doctor, and I'm also the founder of Muslim Youth Program. And in today's training, we're going to be talking about some powerful time management strategies on how to create a balance between your career and Deen, inshallah. But first, we're going to talk about why this is important and why it's important now. So now I'm going to let you guys go into the training and watch the recording. I was saying that because we are professionals, our work projects and responsibilities, they're taking up a lot of our time, right? And also because of COVID, our work life, boundaries, they have been destroyed, right? And so now more than ever, also with the social media and all these distractions, we need to create balance so that we can enjoy our work and we can enjoy our ibadah. We can do our ibadah with focus and khushu, and then also have guilt-free fun in the rest of our time. Right? Not just constantly worry and feel guilty about neglecting one aspect of life or another. Because that's ultimately the teaching of our Deen, balance. That's the practice of Prophet ﷺ. Now, I want to tell you a quick story here. So 7 years ago, and I like to tell this story because I know that many of you can relate to this. I had this overbearing sense of guilt that I was not making Deen a top priority in my life. I was running in the rat race of my career, and you guys know how that is, right? So I would get really worried from time to time, and I would be like, I need to start managing my time right because I don't feel like I'm ready to die now, billah. If I am to, then the first thing on my mind would be, Eamon, you were given one chance. You could have given way more time to Deen because you were giving like 8+ hours a day to your career, and you could have given that time to Deen. So I know it sounds morbid, but it is the morbid truth. But the other part of this truth is that I actually love working, and I still do. I love being a professional, being a career person. I love my career medicine, and I also love being an entrepreneur. But I know that my career alone can never be completely fulfilling. And that goes for every Muslim. We all know that that sense of fulfillment of our purpose in life can only come from being, active in our Deen, being heavily involved in our Deen. So yeah, that was my dream. I wanted all of that. And I couldn't because it looked really hard and difficult from the outside. Anyway, I thought, that I could just share my limiting thoughts at that time in numbers on the screen. So, it would be fun and interactive if I mark my limiting thoughts in numbers on the screen. So you guys can tell me in the chat if at any point you have also thought like I did. Like if just type the number in the chat if indeed you match what I was thinking at that time. So my first limiting thought was, it is going to be really difficult, precisely because I didn't know where to start. There were so many things I could fix that I was doing wrong. So I didn't know where to begin, right? So just type a number in the chat. And then let's see number 2. And this one is embarrassing. And this one was that I felt like I would have to give up on my fun and just do ibadah in my free time, not of my free time, to be a really good, exemplary Muslim professional. And that's because honestly, in my head, I was thinking, I work all day. So in the free time I have, now I have to study the Quran and then Deen, and this is too overwhelming. And that's why even the word routine would make me cringe at that time. Although I'm an organizer through and through, I love organizing and planning, but the reason why it made me cringe was because I could never stick to one. And whenever I did try to follow one, they would make me feel like I was stuck in a robotic, monotonous, boring life, right? So type a 2 if you relate to that. Okay, and then moving on, and this is a big one. I just need motivation. This is what I would think. If I could get motivation, I will achieve all my goals. Now, this was later when I would have made plans for myself and I would have made a commitment to change. Then this would happen, that I would start off all excited to build new habits. And after a small period of time, I would lose all the motivation and things would get difficult. So I'd settle on that, I just need motivation. If I can only figure out how to get that, that will solve all my problems. Okay. And then let's see the last one. And this was, I'm so busy and I don't have a lot of free time. And when I do have some free time, I am too tired to do anything. I don't want to do more. And this was, by the way, at the point in my life when I was doing a day job as a pathology lecturer in a medical college. And I was also studying for my postgrad PLAB exam. And I was also working a Muslim Youth Program. So I did have very little free time. So anyway, if any of you guys, oh, a lot of 1, 2, 3s, and 4s. Oh, good to know that I wasn't alone. So if anybody's all 4s, don't worry, I got your back, because over time I learned to break past these limiting beliefs, right? And so yeah, let's break all of these one by one. So okay, so this one, that I don't want to give up on the fun, right? I was thinking that, and I learned that I didn't have to. In fact, I shouldn't, because having fun in the halal boundaries, of course, and taking care of yourself is from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Plus, I also learned that I did not need to create crazy jam-packed routines to be really productive. It's all about giving structure to your days. So even when I was working crazy hours, or even if I have like an irregular work structure and no 2 days look the same for me, that doesn't mean I have to wait until my days are all the same. Not true. If you get organized and if you give structure to your days, then you are going to be using your time much better, way better than if you were to just, take every day as it comes, right? So I replaced monotonous routines with structure. And then about motivation. Honestly, we give way too much importance to motivation. And I'm going to show you today in this masterclass what it really takes to get started on difficult habits and then stay consistent in them. You're going to learn all that, inshallah. And you're going to see it's not all about motivation, by the way, right? And then let's talk about why this was the silliest thought ever, that I need to have a lot of free time to get started on my goals. So not true, because when I actively started looking for time pockets, I realized I could get a lot of things done in those sneaky little time pockets that were being wasted on meaningless things like, scrolling through Instagram, stalking other people. Plus, I understood that I should be making realistic plans for myself, right? I shouldn't be creating schedules that I can't even follow with my responsibilities and time constraints, right? And then let's go back to this first one. I missed this one. So this one it's going to be really difficult. Truth is, yeah, it is going to be a little difficult. I mean, it's not a piece of cake. That's why there's so much ajr for it. But hopefully with the strategies you learned today, and also hopefully you're going to go in the right direction. So you're not wasting time on things that are never going to work for you. So you have few key takeaways. Get started on them today, inshallah. Create change. And I learned that I didn't even need to go all in, by the way. You don't have to go and do everything all at once and start doing all your goals all at once. It makes more difference when you're going step by step. Okay, so anyway, alhamdulillah, when I broke past these limiting thoughts, I came to actually deeply enjoy the process of becoming a better Muslim, and hence Muslim Youth Program, where I actually enjoy writing about it and applying those strategies on myself, because, it has to be fun. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. And obviously not the wrong kind of fun, like the good kind of halal fun. Anyway, I want to give you an example of one of my students, Aziz Big, here, because I want to inspire you with stories of other people too, not just myself, right? Although I'm not saying I'm that inspirational, but anyway. So meet Aziz Big. He is working full-time as an IELTS tutor, okay? And he was struggling when he reached out to me a couple of months ago. He was struggling with basic acts of ibadah, like making proper time for salah and even praying salah on time, right? He was missing salah because of his work, and his work was taking a lot of his time and energy, right? So it's not just about time, it's about energy too. So if you're wasting the free time pockets during the rest of the day, or if you're not wasting time, but you're at the end of the day, you're too tired to do anything, you're exhausted, then, how do you get things done? So anyway, he got organized. He learned to get organized. You can't just, randomly do things and expect changes to happen or results to happen. It's not going to happen like that. So when he became more conscious about his energy levels, he started focusing only on the most important things. He started praying all fard salah on time, and then he found the energy and time to even work better in his own business. And now he has created his own learning center, subhanAllah, and he didn't even have to cut back time from his sleep. This is another myth. Like we say, push through the night and like burn the midnight oil. You don't have to do any of that. Fix your disrupted sleep cycle, and then fix the cornerstone habits. And you know what happens? This is the really cool thing that happens is, I'm seeing a message. Slow down if you can. I know I'm a little too fast. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to try my best. Okay. Anyway, so what I wanted to say is that when you try to fix your main core habits, what happens is that it creates a ripple effect, and that's how you start doing better in other habits as well. So what happened? Look at it. Look at his story. What he did was he also started eating healthier, getting active, and doing yoga in the morning.
So like all these changes that could not have been possible a couple of months ago are now possible because you're praying on time, making time for the Quran as well. Okay. And then he also says, and this is the coolest part, is that with time, when he started seeing results in himself, he told me that I'm now able to remotivate myself every time my motivation decreases. And now I can stay consistent in my habits. So I want to show you why this is so valuable. Because once you get organized, you're going to start experiencing all of these other positive changes because of it. And I like to call them the ripple effects. Okay. And what are they? So, one, you feel very confident in yourself as you crush goals one by one. And two, you find clarity and focus in life for your goals because now your goals are aligned with your purpose in life as a Muslim, right? You're not just doing random goals. And then you also start doing better at work because if you're working, then that's a responsibility. You got to do better. And then also earn halal and do your best. That's also a great part of balance. And then what happens is that at work, people start looking up to you and taking you as an example. SubhanAllah. So you're basically doing da'wah without even actively doing da'wah, right? And then your relationships with friends and family improve. Why? Because you're giving time to them now, right? You have time. You're not always like, I'm too busy, let's reschedule. No, you have time for them. And at the end of all of this, we feel happy. We're relieved that we're living closer to the Sunnah way, alhamdulillah. So today, I want to take you behind the scenes into the life of well-balanced, successful Muslim professionals to show you how to be like those girls or guys or gals who are managing to do so many things in life. They're achieving goal after goal, but they never compromise, their deen for any of their dunya goals. They never lose sight of their fard ibadah. Their connection with the Quran is strong. Their beliefs are rock solid. How do you become like that? And I've learned that it all boils down to 5 main things that I like to call behind the scenes secrets. Why? Because it sounds much cooler like that. And also because you will see that these things are happening in the background, like behind the scenes, if you are to shadow a successful Muslim professional over 24 hours, which I've done many times. And like see them do things on a typical day. And they may seem obvious, right? But when you start doing them, they're going to be a little difficult and tricky. And that's why not a lot of people are doing them well, which is why, inshallah, which is where the masterclass comes in, by the way. So inshallah, you're going to learn today, one, the key strategy to finishing all your goals till the end. Then I'm going to show you how to get big things done, even if you are a procrastinator. And this is no exaggeration. I'm going to share a system with you that it definitely works, okay? And then we're going to talk about how simple and easy it can be to make time for all your goals when you have an organization system in place, right? And then this is the most requested one. How do you get started on a new difficult or long-term habit? And then I'm going to show you how to apply this simple but effective framework of consistency in your daily life. And then at the end, inshallah, we're going to talk about a special enrollment bonus for my new program, Balancing in Dunya. Now, what is the goal here? The goal here is to teach you my best information and make it easy for you to become organized and efficient. So you can move forward in 2021, inshallah, and make smarter decisions, day-to-day decisions, right? And I want to break it all down into a science that makes sense to you because we're all professionals, okay? Almost all of us. And for those of you who are not, even then, most welcome and love having you here. So I'm just saying that when you break it down into a science, then it makes it easy to implement. And then it promises some sort of quantifiable results. Otherwise, self-improvement is like so vague. It's so abstract. Okay, what have you started doing? I've started feeling better. My life is now better. I feel happier. Not really quantifiable, right? So you want to break it down into a science and also, use some numbers and some metrics and hopefully make it a little bit more tangible. And the reason why I'm so passionate about teaching this topic of creating balance and getting organized and time management is I wanted to make this masterclass for you because I wanted to give all the frameworks, most of the frameworks from the course that I teach for free to you guys, so that whether you can afford to take advantage of the enrollment bonus or not, I still want each of you to take home this main framework and with also some really effective strategies so that you can get started on today, immediately, right after the masterclass, okay? And by the way, these frameworks and strategies can save you a lot of time and stress if you were to try to figure this out on your own. So yeah, so that's the promise of this thing, inshallah. You're going to get a lot from this. But the other promises. If you don't get organized, whoops, I went back. If you don't get organized and you don't actively create balance and manage your time, then the question is now, how long will you keep pushing this for? How long are we willing to stay stuck in stress and guilt in our comfort zone, delaying the idea of giving proper time to important things, right? Maybe later when I have more time. And when that later comes, by the way, there's always going to be another reason to delay. That's like the first tactic of shaitan. So any sort of change starts today, right? If you want to create some sort of change, it starts today, inshallah. That's why I'm trying so hard to motivate you, because I really want you to actually implement the stuff that I've worked so hard to put together for you, right? So I want you guys to type a now or a yes in the chat, or a today, whatever. So I know how serious you are about getting organized and creating some sort of change today, inshallah. Right? Type a yes, and we're going to begin. Let me just take a sip of water. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. All right, I can feel the positive energy from the chat. Alhamdulillah. Okay, now today, this entire 5 behind the scenes secrets, I have put them together. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't put them together. It was my sister who came up with this mnemonic, and it is Pager, Pager. I love mnemonics. They make my life so much easier. So I was like yesterday asking my sister, can you please put these words into a mnemonic for me? She was really good at that. So anyway, I want you to think of a pager. And what does it do? It reminds you to do something urgent, to get up and do it on time, right? And then the pager only gives you very specific, to the point instructions. And it only beeps, by the way, when there's something important to do, right? And it keeps you on your toes, alert. Now, I want you to think of this pager every time you feel like you're slacking. And if you want to be like, one of those productive, successful Muslims, because you can be, anybody can be. So just keep this pager on you, and I'll tell you exactly what this means in a second. This is what the inshallah training is going to be about. So let's begin with the first one, P, prioritizers. Now I know prioritizers is not a word. I just made it up, but I had to put it in this way. So that's totally fine. You know what it means? It means top performers and successful Muslims, they don't just say yes to everything. Okay. In fact, forget being a top performer. Even if you want to create any sort of balance, you got to learn to say no. And that's a painful pill to swallow, I know, but it doesn't have to be painful. I will make it, inshallah, very relieving. And why? Why do you have to say no? You have to say yes to projects and tasks that are going to bring maximum return of investment. Now have a look at this quote. It's from Ned Hallowell. He's a psychiatrist and also a leading author. And he says, too many lilies crowd the pond and prevent each other's growth. None will flourish. What does this mean? Lilies are basically people or projects that are worth the time and energy that you invest in them, right? But if there are too many lilies, AKA too many important goals, then none of them is going to receive the proper time and attention that they need, and they're going to impede each other's growth. Okay? Imagine lilies in a pond blocking each other's sunlight. And why? Because you only have a fixed amount of energy levels in a day. You only have fixed number of time in a day, 24 hours. Everybody's got that, right? So the more goals and people you say yes to, the more your energy and time is going to be divided among different goals, right? And then what happens? None of the goals will receive the proper time or attention it needs. And then things can go down in 3 ways. Things can go down really bad in 3 ways. One, you have so many goals. You can't even start the work under the burden of overwhelm. You're like, there's just too much to do. I will do it later. 2, you cannot complete it. So say you start all of these projects, but you can't complete because you don't have enough time or enough energy. And 3, let's say you start, but you even complete it, but you're going to rush through it. So you're going to do a really crappy job. So it doesn't really do good to you in any way. And another bad thing is that when you don't reduce the number of goals, when you have too many goals, then what happens is that even if you prioritize in your own way, but you don't do it right, you are going to select goals that are less important, and you might end up giving a lot of time and energy to these less important goals. And they're going to strip you of the time and energy that you're supposed to give to the responsibilities and roles as a Muslim, right? So, and this is what creates that imbalance. And by the way, this is a teaching of our Prophet ﷺ, okay? The same concept. Take up good deeds only as much as you're able to, for the best deeds are those done regularly, even if there are a few. So basically, setting less goals is an important part of energy management, right? And prioritizers, They say no. They have learned to say no to what? Let's talk about this now. 3 things. 1, goals and projects. 2, daily tasks. And 3, people. Now, I know, when I say 3 people, you're like raising an eyebrow. I'm going to show you how. You don't say no to everyone. Okay. So you, by the way, prioritize it. And these top performers, they don't just say yes because, oh, this looks like a good opportunity. So I will take it. I'll do it. You can't do that. Even you could be a very proactive person. You're doing a lot of things in a day. You're so busy, but you could be doing very few things that are actually adding value to dunya and akhirah. So we got to be selective here, which means that you're not selectively saying yes to things, right? And although it looks like you're so busy, this is what's going to end up happening. You're going to be like, I'm so busy, but I have time, but I don't know where it goes. I think I don't have barakah in my time. And that's because of the lack of prioritization, right? Because the important things that are going to add value to dunya and akhirah, they're not being given proper time, right? Prioritizers know exactly where their time goes. So anyway, how do you prioritize? Let's talk about that. 3 things. 1, saying no to big goals. And I know everybody has lots of goals. I want to take Arabic. I want to read the tafsir of the Quran from Ibn Kathir. All of those are amazing goals. But 1, you're going to have to learn to say no by purposeful procrastination. So you're going to have to do purposeful procrastination on some of your big goals for now. And what does that mean? That means that you are going to select from all of these, jot all of your goals down, and then select the ones that you're going to start with that are going to be the best investment of time if you start working on them now, and then leave others for later. And this is, by the way, not the same as the bad kind of procrastination, because that is out of laziness. But in this, notice how there is no importance to the want factor, right? You're not thinking about, oh, what do I want to do and what do I not want to do? You're just thinking about what is important enough to be done now, and that's why you're delaying it. Okay. Because if you don't procrastinate on purpose, then we already talked about what's going to happen. You're going to end up taking projects that are not important. Anyway, let's talk about the second way to prioritize. And this is saying no to daily tasks, like day to day, every day, you have to say no to smaller tasks, right? How do you do that? A trick that works always for me is that first, whenever you create a to-do list, then create a don't do list. Yeah. And how do you do that? Consider 2 factors. 1, importance. 2, urgency. Okay. Think, if this is important, can I leave this for later? That's it. Make it easy, make it simple and effective. It works. Okay. And finally, saying no to people. Because no, it is not haram to say no. And I know saying no to people is a little difficult because as Muslims, we feel like, oh, we had bad ikhlaq. We're not doing great as Muslims. But this doesn't mean you say no to everyone, okay? And by the way, this also doesn't mean you're saying no because you don't want to do something. No, you're just using your time in a strategic way, right? So you're not saying no to people in your family like your mom or your parents who need you. No. Then Allah's command should come to your mind where Allah commands us to uphold justice and to do good to others and to give to the relatives. So this does not apply there. But this is when a lot of people are asking you for favors, then you have to selectively say yes. And I'm going to share with you a small tip here on when it is best to say no. And the best way to say, the best time when okay, this project is, I can say no to this is, you have to consider your time and energy for the entire duration of that project. So for example, somebody asks you for a favor, you're like, okay, yeah, now I have time. I can give time to this project. But you're not thinking about how long it's going to take and how much of energy it's going to take. You got to sit down and calculate that before you promise somebody something, right? And then think about the total duration of that project. And accordingly, say no, either in the beginning that I can't do this for long term, or be like, I can do it for now, I have free time, but later I might not have time. So be upfront. And the best way to say no is to speak the truth. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, oh, you who believe, keep your duty to Allah and speak straight, true words. Don't just beat around the bush. Don't lie, make up excuses upon excuses. Speak the truth. I don't have time and energy. I would love to help you. There's a way to have those interpersonal skills, develop those. And saying no is like doing people a favor, because then you're not saying yes to projects that you're not going to complete. And in a month, you're going to be like, oh, you were supposed to do this. And they could look for somebody else who's going to do that thing for them better, right? So anyway, it's a lose-lose situation if you don't know how to say no to people and you say yes to a lot of people and a lot of projects, and at the end up upsetting the other people as well as failing those projects miserably. And also the barakah goes out of your time like that and you burn out. Anyway, Now let's move on to the second behind the scenes secret. And this is top performers or even people who want to create balance. I say top performers, but I know you're thinking, oh, who's going to be a top performer? That's so hard. You don't even have to be a top performer. You just got to be efficient. And even to be efficient, you got to be an action taker. Okay. And this is the second behind the scenes secret, being an action taker. And what does this even mean? So basically, action takers, these people who are taking action, they procrastinate too, but they don't let procrastination and laziness come in the way of most important things. Okay. And this is a very important concept to understand as a Muslim. Okay. You got to get things done and you can procrastinate. That's totally fine. And it's very relieving and it's also true. And I'm going to show you how. So, just because you're disciplined and you're an action taker doesn't mean that you have to kill procrastination and like totally get rid of it from the root, right? That's a very high standard to set for yourself, okay? Because it can take a while and we don't need to wait that long to get things done. We want to start today. We want to start now achieving our goals, okay? And I know for many of you, procrastination is a big problem standing in the way. But first, a thing to note here is that there are two kinds of procrastinators, okay? And one is the extreme form. And this is the chronic procrastinators. Okay. And by the way, this is not like a medical diagnosis. I'm just telling you from my study. Okay. So the chronic procrastinators are people who have made it a lifestyle for themselves. They delay everything till the last minute. They procrastinate on everything from salah to daily mundane tasks. So if procrastination is predominant in your life and it controls like how you do almost everything, and you're like delaying everything till the last minute, then what happens is that barakah totally runs away from this. Okay. You cannot have that barakah and that balance. And that's why you got to get rid of this. Okay. And this requires a little bit of obviously discipline building. And interesting thing is, if you ask neuropsychologists, they're going to say procrastination is a problem with executive function, meaning, taking action. On the other hand, social psychologists, they think that it's a failure of mood regulation, that people are just basically delaying the feeling of unpleasant feelings of doing the work. Both of them, they're true, but according to, where did it go? Okay, according to our belief system, Ibn al-Jawzi, in his book, he says that beware of procrastination, for it is one of the devil's strongest weapons, right? So this is our belief system, that this procrastination is a big tactic of shaitan, all right? And how does this work? Let me tell you a little bit of the shaitan's workflow according to my best understanding. So what happens is that, shaitan gives these whispers that it's okay, you still have an hour left to pray. I'm going to get up in a bit, it's fine, right? You delay salah, you delay important things like that. And then what happens? You feel guilty and you feel dissatisfied with yourself while procrastinating, right? Because if it's a tactic of shaitan, there's definitely a negative outcome. There's not going to be a good feeling, okay? And what happens is that when the deadline comes nearer and nearer, your stress levels, they peak. And here, under the command of your flight or fight mechanism, your body is going to pump adrenaline, and then that forces you to get the task done as fast as you can. And this entire cycle is part of the shaitan's workflow. I'll tell you why. Because notice that there is no self-satisfaction, no peace, no happiness, only bad feelings throughout this entire cycle. First, you're being lazy, then you're procrastinating and feeling guilty and wasting time, and then afterwards you're stressing out and panicking. All of this cycle is what is shaitan's cycle. And this is a little bit difficult, but I have a shortcut. And this is what you hear a lot of scholars say, and it is 100% true. And if you want to break free from this procrastination-based lifestyle, so for these people who are living this lifestyle, the only thing you need to focus on is praying salah on time, in the earliest time, okay? So as soon as it's time for salah, because if you're delaying your salah, saying things like there's plenty of time, I'll pray in a bit, it's qada anyway, I'll pray the qada later, then that's your culprit. That is the reason why you have a procrastination-based lifestyle. Because if it has made into your ibadah, then it will definitely make into the rest of your activities like work and daily chores. So instead of focusing on random tactics, focus on praying in the earliest time for every salah, okay? So you know how important this is. And here's a trick. I have a trick for you to pray earliest on time. We need these little tips and tricks. They're very helpful. So the first thing is to set 2 checkpoints for yourself. One, is 15 minutes before Adhan, because I noticed when I was procrastinating before, and I would be like, why am I procrastinating? It's because I have so much work to do. Oh, well, wait, let me just finish this. Oh, let me just finish what I'm doing, and then I'm going to get up and pray. So that's why use these checkpoints. First one being the Adhan. That is the first checkpoint, and that's when you start winding up everything that you're doing. So whatever it is you're doing, give yourself 15 minutes. You know that after this 15 minutes you got to get up. Okay, so and then we also need to mentally prepare ourselves for salah, especially if you're not in the habit of praying daily salah on time, right? And that can be hard, so you need some time. So use these 15 minutes. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a difference. Notice in Islam, these tactics are all based on our psychology. One, adhan happens almost 30 minutes before iqamah. This is why we need time to wind things up and get in the mindset. And then second checkpoint would be, as soon as adhan happens, go make wudu. No, at that point, do not even delay even a single minute, because as soon as these checkpoints are over, then you get relaxed. Then the mind, you need these alerts, these checkpoints to stay alert. And if you ignore them, then forget about it. Then you're going to procrastinate. Okay, so and it's going to take some practice. And by the way, if you live in a non-Muslim country where there's no adhan, and I know this is an issue, then you can just buy one of those adhan clocks. It's very simple. It's not a very heavy investment, and definitely worth the investment, because you're investing in salah, right? And I want to make sure, oops, I always go back. Anyway, so I want to give you a hadith here, remind you of this hadith. And this is Shaitan, Prophet ﷺ said, Shaitan puts 3 knots at the back of the head of any of you if he's asleep. On every knot he reads and exhales the following words: the night is long, so stay asleep. And when one wakes up and remembers Allah, 1 knot is undone. And then when you perform ablution, the 2nd knot is undone. And then when you pray, the 3rd knot is undone. And one gets up energetic with a good heart in the morning. Otherwise, one gets up lazy and with a mischievous heart. In other words, one gets up procrastinating all day, right? So the second strategy for those of you who are living a procrastination-based lifestyle is to wake up early for Fajr. Now, another problem here is that, okay. Before I go into the problem, I do have a story to share. Okay, so I want you guys to meet Merve. So she's, again, one of my students, industrial engineer. She's working as a consultant. And again, a few months ago, she came to me and she's basically an organizer and planner. She's doing bullet journaling, mashallah. She's very organized in that way. But the thing is, she was focusing on the time management tactics, but she wasn't disciplining herself. And she learned in her way that, okay, I need to discipline myself if I want to get into the habit of praying Fajr Salah and reading the Quran. So these were the 2 habits that she was struggling with, okay? And what happened when she learned how to build discipline through those cornerstone habits, and then she started reading Quran with meaning on a daily basis, and she also started waking up for Fajr. I want to share these stories to show you it's possible. It looks very difficult, but you can get here where she is within a few weeks, right? You just need to start building discipline today, inshallah. And now she's like, I have realized that I can be as productive as I want if I know how to prioritize my time and energy. This is powerful to me. Anyway, now the reason why I was saying that, those strategies of waking up early for Fajr and also praying Salah in the earliest time, I was telling you why those don't work for everyone, because some of you guys are partial procrastinators, right? Because you are already waking up for Fajr, you are already praying all the Salah on time, but you still have procrastination from time to time, especially in important things like work projects and whatnot. So these tactics of waking up for Fajr and Salah, they don't work for you, right? So what do you do? And by the way, why do you delay? What are you procrastinating on? And this is fascinating. So the reasons why people delay tasks are, number 1, they're difficult. The task, anything that is difficult, most likely you're going to procrastinate on it. Number 2, it's too big, it's too boring, too complicated, too extensive. And this is a very common one, the fear of failure, right? That these tasks are scary, so you're going to just keep pushing them for later. Now, no matter what the reason is, I want to tell you that the key to setting yourself up for success is set yourself up for following through on the goals that are important, and then give yourself the leeway to procrastinate in other less important things. Okay, now I'm not just going to tell you that and just leave you. No, I'm going to show you a system of how to set yourself up for following through. Okay, and this is like a shortcut system, and this works regardless of what the reason for procrastination is. Okay. Because let's be real, everybody has goals. Some finish their goals till the end, others don't. There has to be a difference, right, between finishers and non-finishers, right? There has to be a difference between people who are procrastinating and leaving their task. And that difference is the system that I'm about to teach you, okay? And yeah, okay. So you know what? The slides order has been a little bit shifted. Never mind. So two easy to fix reasons why you may have unfinished goals. So this is the difference between finishers and non-finishers, according to me. And number one, you're not planning at all. Okay. Or which I don't think most of you are, because in the poll you guys said 92% of you guys said that I have created a schedule before. So it means you're planning. But maybe the problem is you're planning, but you're not a goal digger. I didn't say a gold digger, okay? That's fine. You don't have to be a gold digger, but you gotta be a gold digger. And this is the behind the scenes secret number 3. Okay. And what does this even mean? Okay. Let's talk about it. So gold diggers, basically, whenever I say this, I feel like I'm saying gold diggers. Anyway, this is one of the most effective strategies you can use to become a finisher. And why? Because here's what happens. This snowball effect happens is that once you finish a goal, okay, your goal becomes an achievement. Then your self-confidence and then tawakkul in Allah, it increases. And then you use that self-confidence to achieve the next goal. If I can do this, I can do that kind of psychology. And then you achieve another goal. And it's like a vicious, that's why finishers, they just finish all their goals. And non-finishers, they've probably achieved like 1 or 2 things in their life, and they're struggling to finish any of the other goals, right? And the key here to becoming a finisher, doing this, to following this goal digging concept, is to plan for everything that could possibly make you procrastinate on the goal. It sounds a little difficult, but it's not. Trust me, it's not. And I'll tell you why. Because all you got to do is plan for these few things. That's it. One, when you have a goal, ask yourself, how much time is it going to take? And write that down, okay? Be a little organized. Give yourself the chance to tap into your true potential by being organized, okay? Write it down. How much time is this going to take every day, every week? And when will this be over, right? When is it going to be finished? Then look for resources. So what one thing happens is that, you know what, I'm going to start exercising tomorrow. We make promises to ourselves like that. And then we were like, oh, I don't have dumbbells. Oh, I don't have this thing. Oh, I don't have that thing. So resources, figure out all the resources that you might need to stick to this goal, get them beforehand, and then start, okay? Don't leave any reason to procrastinate. You gotta beat procrastination like that. And number 3, mini goals. What does this mean? So say your goal is really big, right? So don't just think of the whole goal and be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start studying Arabic of the Quran for the next 2 years. No, break it down. Break it down into chapters, lessons, modules, whatever it is. If you're taking a course, break it all down into mini goals, okay? And then for each mini goal, okay, make a task list. This is exhausting, time consuming, but it's worth it, because when you finish the goal, you'll thank yourself at the end. Thank God I did this. It only took what? A few minutes, maximum an hour, right? So make a task list for each one of those mini goals. And this task list is going to be like a to-do list that, okay, if I have to achieve this mini goal. So when you're thinking of the mini goal, you forget about the big goal. You're not thinking about the end goal now. You're just thinking about finishing this, going through this one module, this one chapter. That's it. That's all my focus. When you're done, then think about the next mini goal. Then think about the next one. And this is how you finish work in sprints, right? And then don't just create a task list. No. You got to do this one last thing. I keep losing my cursor. This is like the worst thing to happen. Okay. So, and the last thing is time blocking, right? Time blocking is when you have created this task list. Don't just be like, okay, I got to do all these things. No, block them in your calendar. Put them on the calendar and be like, okay, the first task is going on tomorrow from this time to that time. And this is how you become a goal digger. It looks a little confusing, but trust me, it is not that confusing. It's really simple and you can totally do it. And this is the system of finishers, okay? So the first thing is goal digging. The second thing is implementation intention, which I already told you about. It's a very big word, it's a mouthful, but it's really easy to do. All you gotta do is just pick the first task from your task list and make an appointment with that task. Okay, don't just be like, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Make an appointment like you made an appointment with this masterclass. You were like, okay, from 10 to 11, my 10 to 11, I'm going to attend the masterclass. And then you attended. Alhamdulillah. So it is said that it takes more willpower to make the decision than to do the work itself. But when you make the appointment to do something at a fixed time, on a fixed day, you have already made the decision. So you don't need to spend more willpower on the day itself before doing the task. You're just going to get ahead and get started on it, right? But okay, this is a sneak peek at my calendar. I don't want to freak you out. This looks a little bit, too much, but you don't have to be like this. The only way I was able to finish all these live trainings and all of this stuff is because I planned for them. I tried to be a goal digger, and that's what you got to do if you want to finish a goal. Okay. But this strategy doesn't work when your task or goal is not specific and is not achievable. Okay. So these are the two factors you got to consider. Okay. If you don't do this, this is when you lose consistency. This is when you can't follow through. Don't just say, I want to read Quran every day. No, tell me when. Write it down. Okay. And exactly when you're going to start, how much you're going to read, in what time frame. Give me the details. You don't have to give me the details, but let your calendar know at least. Okay. And then don't just say, I will read a complete juz of the Quran every day after Fajr. What is wrong with this sentence? There's something wrong here. So this one is not specific enough, right? And this is not achievable. I mean, come on, this is a scenario. Say you only have 15 minutes and you're thinking of completing a complete juz. And then when you don't, you're like, oh, I need to make more time. Set goals according to your time, right? So this is the correct one, which is I will read 3 pages of Quran, and that these could be any pages that you can do in 15 minutes. I think I can only do 3 after Fajr every day. Okay, make a realistic plan, not something only Martians can do. So to summarize, this second behind the scenes secrets: block your time in advance, take some time to plan properly for the goal, break it down into small parts, and then block that first part in your schedule. And then get started on the first part ASAP and forget about the entire rest of the goal, because that can be really daunting and it can make you procrastinate. Over to the next behind the scenes secret to creating balance as a Muslim professional. Now, say you have prioritized your goals and now you have also been digging deep into the goal and planning for it. But then how do you find the motivation to get started on it, right? And let's talk about this all famous motivation. And the PAGEE stands for efficiency. Okay, what does this even mean? So to be efficient, basically, you gotta have motivation, but it is not just about motivation, right? Motivation alone can never be enough for achieving goals and building habits. Let's just, you know, I'm struggling with my words here, but yeah, absorb that. Absorb that inside. Why? Because say you come to me and you're like, you know what? I want to exercise or I want to read the Quran. Okay. And you're like, but the answer is, I don't know how to keep myself motivated. But then my question is, okay, so you really want to exercise, but you don't want to exercise? Because you do realize that motivation is your want power. It is a force that drives you to take action, right? So we all need motivation to work on our goals. But we need motivation to get started, but motivation alone can only get you so far. And you need discipline to follow through on your goals with consistency. Now, these are big words. What do they even mean? Motivation is basically when you want to do something. Discipline is something that you get up and you do the work even when you don't want to. That's discipline, okay? And that's something that you need. So motivation can get you started, but if you want to be a finisher, you got to practice discipline. And how do you do that? Accountability, right? Self or external, we're going to talk about it. But accountability is what keeps you disciplined and makes sure that you do the work even when you don't want to, right? So we need both of these. And I like to call them, twin sisters. Both of them are good sisters, but one is more strict. Accountability is the more strict sister, and motivation is the fun one. Now, the problem here is that there's a difference between goals and habits, right? Goals, they have a clear beginning and a clear ending. So it is easier for you to stay motivated because you can see the end reward. You're like, okay, when I finish this, my life is going to be all rainbows. That's so not true, but that's how you think and that's what drives you. But a habit is more like a drag. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to change my habits tomorrow. I'll do it, because they don't have a clear ending and they're mostly long term. So you're always finding reasons to delay. That is why it is harder to find motivation to change habits, and which is why the fastest way to motivate yourself is through external sources of motivation, people around you, stories of the Prophet ﷺ, read through history and, books, videos, lectures, workshop. Hopefully this masterclass is motivating you. Mentorship, places even, right? And this is a saying of Dr. Israr, one of my favorite scholars. The shortcut to strengthening your iman or change your behavior is to be in the company of righteous people. Why? Because energy travels, right? And even Prophet ﷺ said, a man follows the religion of his friend. So each one should consider whom he makes his friend. So that's like the shortcut, okay? Then, once you start building a new habit, motivation is going to die down. What do you do then? You learn to hold yourself accountable. So accountability comes in two ways. One, self, from inside. And two, from environment or external, somebody else, right? So environmental accountability would be support groups, coaching calls, halakha gathering, and living with practicing people, right? And when you're doing dawah yourself, that could also be, because that keeps you accountable. And second is self-accountability. Now, most of the people rely on external, but with time, you're going to have to learn to rely on self-accountability through planners, trackers, journals, whatever works for you, okay? And now I'm going to explain all of these a little confusing concepts with this example, okay? Take the example of you wanted to get into the habit of doing exercise, okay? So you get started by finding a workout buddy, a personal trainer, joining a program, right? Watching online content, these YouTube videos, you get very motivated and then you start. What happens is over time, you're going to start seeing massive results, right? And big changes in how you feel. Or, your body's changing, the way you feel is changing, but you don't get to see those results on day one. It's going to take time. So what do you do in that time? How do you get there? You practice discipline, okay? You learn to get up on the days even when you don't feel like doing the work, you get up and you do it, okay? And then this is the best part. This is the dream goal, and that is the results come, and those results will drive you to take action. That's how you see these, workout, people who are so into this, they're so driven. Or forget workout, take any example. People are so driven. Why? Because they're seeing some sorts of results, and results don't always have to be tangible. They could be changes in how you feel, right? And that's when a time will come, the habit is going to become second nature to you. It's going to become on autopilot, a part of your new normal. And when habits become a part of your new normal, it sounds like, oh, this is so far-fetched. It's not. Meet Aminat. And this is one of my star students. Aminat, she's a law student. She's so busy. She's also working part-time in sales. Like, she really didn't have a lot of free time, okay? And she had so many goals, and she wasn't a finisher, okay? And the thing, I love what she did. She started with only her non-negotiables. First, she fixed her sleep-wake schedule. She was able to wake up early in the morning, and she found a lot of time pockets before her job started. And then in those time pockets, she started regularly reading the Quran after Fajr and also making time for her online Arabic course. Now, imagine this. Only after a few short months, she says those habits are on autopilot, and now she's ready to move on to the next goals. It happens, okay? Just want to give you these inspirations because it happens. It can happen if you put in the work. Okay. Now I want to show you this. This is, I think, the second last graph, okay? Looks a little complicated. It's not. What happens, I want to explain it to you with the help of this graph, is that notice how in the beginning of starting any long-term goal or like habit, anything difficult, you have to do the hard work, but your want power, which is your emotions, like want emotions, your motivation is very high. So you're excited, okay? What happens with time? It starts dying down, but you got to do the work. Then what happens is when the want factor gets low, when you don't feel like want to do the work anymore, then that is when you do this is what happens when we say, I'm very all or none. This is a periodic effort. This is a classic periodic effort that most of us do. And what is consistency? It requires going against those want emotions. So even when you don't want to do the work, you do it. So even when your want factor is low, that's consistency. And that brings me to the last behind the scenes secrets, and that is regular. Okay, I couldn't put a C here pay gek. That would be weird. That's why I was like regular. But what it means is consistency. Okay. Consistency requires doing the work even when you don't want to, and most people they don't know that. They're like, I always want to do it, and the moment don't feel like doing it, I can't. Well, you got to learn to. Okay, because there are going to be those moments, but the thing is, it's not always going to be like that. So there are going to be days where you're going to want to work, and then days where you're not going to want to work. Okay, all long-term goals and habits, they require consistency, going against those want emotions. And consistency, by the way, is not what you think it is. Now, I know this looks like a very complicated equation. It totally isn't. It's a very simple, and you're going to see why. You 100% is an unrealistic goal, okay? 100%, I want to do this habit 100% of the time. That's an unrealistic goal. Instead, minus B5. What does that mean? Minus 5% of your time. Now, these are just random numbers just to make you understand, but you understand that you can allow yourself to have breaks, recovery, and burnouts. You have to leave room for these three things. In other words, energy management. If you don't do this, then you're not going to be consistent because you're going for an unrealistic goal of 100%. So consistency is only 95%. You understand what I'm saying, right? These are not like scientific numbers, but this is what I mean by consistency. You don't have to be 100% consistent in what you're doing, in your habits. Of course, this does not apply to fard acts of ibadah. You can't be like, you know what, I'm going to pray 3 fard salah today and tomorrow 4. No. There's no excuse for non-negotiables. But everything else, like exercise and like even reading Quran, if, for example, you're just starting out in the beginning, set yourself 5 days or 6 days or 7 days, but like 5 minutes and then 10 minutes or 1 minute, whatever it is. Point is, don't think. And also, even if you're setting a goal of studying the Quran for the entire week and you miss a day or two, don't beat yourself about it. That's totally fine. That's like you minusing a small portion of time. That's totally fine. Get back up and continue doing. Okay, because 100% is unrealistic. And so that's the missing link of consistency that we tend to overlook. Breaks. We got to take the right kinds of breaks at the right time, right? And then if you're using your energy smartly, you're not even going to burn out, right? And if it comes to ibadah, your iman isn't going to dip too low. So you're not going to be swinging to two opposite extremes. And second thing is, life happens, burnouts happen, okay? No matter how well you're managing your energy, you might end up burning out. But the key here is making sure that you're not dipping too low. Your energy is not dipping too low in the burnout that you're losing all sense of control and calm. You're irritated or angry all the time. You're shouting at everyone, depressed and behaving not close to the sunnah way. So the key is, even if you burn out, that's totally fine. Take it easy on yourself. This normal human behavior. But key is to stay as close to the sunnah way as possible, because Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, for every deed, there is a zeal. And for every zeal, there is a slackening. And so whoever's slackening is towards my sunnah, then he's successful. But if his slackening is towards other than my sunnah, then he's ruined. So notice how Prophet ﷺ is telling us that there is going to be a slackening, right? That's not the problem. The problem is what you do when you burn out. Okay, so you got to recover in the best possible way too. You got to give yourself time, optimum time to get back on track. But what happens with new habits when you break the chain for too long? So for example, you started a new habit, you started too many things, you burn out, but you leave everything and you break the chain for too long, then you're going to have to start from all over again. You're going to have to start from scratch, right? So remember this missing link, BRB, breaks, recovery, burnouts. And this is, by the way, a mnemonic that I made, very proud of it. But yeah, remember this. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, okay, Eamon, I'll manage my energy fine, but what about this 95%? How do I stay consistent even for that remaining 95%? And again, this goes back to the two concepts that we learned: a good strategy, have a good plan, goal digging, then learn to find external ways of motivation, and then hold yourself accountable or find accountability partners. So that's the framework of consistency, my friends. Motivation, rest and recovery, energy management, and accountability. If you're doing this, you are going to be consistent, hands down. End of story. Now, as we're winding up, I just want to share with you this. I think there was a lot of graphs today. But again, this is also not very complicated. But this is a growth graph. Okay. Now, what happens is, I know all of you guys are go getters. You're like growth oriented Muslims. That's why you're here taking a productivity masterclass. But the problem is, sometimes we make the mistake of just adding goals upon goals and habits upon habits in our daily routine, right? And that's what happens, is that over time, the energy dips can be very drastic and we are more prone to burnouts then. And this is what happens, is the all or none psychology is applied here. So you're just keeping adding all of these things, you're just going all in, and then after some time, boop, all out, right? So the key here, and this is my last strategy for you, and this is very important. This is a growth with plateau graph, okay? And what you do essentially is that you're adding new habits, and basically you divide your routines into two modes. One is the developer mode and one is the maintenance mode, right? In the developer mode, you're adding new habits, okay? That you have the time, you have the energy, you can realistically add more habits with your responsibilities, so you're doing it. Okay, great. But then you got to give yourself time to plateau. And in this plateau phase, this is the maintenance mode. You got to maintain the new habits. Like, remember Aminat that I told you about? She gave herself time to get into those habits until they got into autopilot mode. And then again, you add more habits. When you're ready, you're like, okay, now I have more time pockets. What do I do with them? Right? You add more habits. And then you plateau again. So the pro tip here is that even when you are having an energy dip or burning out, like feeling at your very low, or something tough is going on in your life, make sure that you don't leave all of your good habits, right? At least hold on to the non-negotiables. In this for Salah, Quran, whatever it is that you have started, hold on to that. And if that's even difficult, then just hold on to them, even if on a minimal level, meaning just reduce those things to a few minutes. Of course, you can't do that with Salah, but you can do that with other activities as well, right? Because you have to remember this hadith. And people who are overwhelmed and stressed, and mashallah, they're so active, we keep forgetting this hadith, and that is, religion is easy and no one overburdens himself in his religion, but he will be unable to continue in that way. So do not be extremists, but try to be near perfection. I love these two words, near perfection. Yes, you can be a perfectionist, but a good kind, the one that does things with ihsan, okay, but not like crazy obsessive, all or none psychology. And you will receive the good tidings that you will be rewarded. Right? So the bottom line is, identify your top priority goals, work on them one by one, only do the high yield stuff so you're not stuck like in procrastinating. And then divide your goals, goal digging, okay, and then block them in your calendar, and then find ways to motivate yourself externally, hold yourself accountable, and learn to stay consistent by giving yourself a break from time to time and managing your energy properly, and remembering those maintenance mode and developer mode. Okay, now I have a question for you. What is a valuable lesson you learned from today's masterclass? I want you guys to type in the chat. Let me know. What did you guys learn? And now, as you're coming up with all that stuff and the answers, I want to share a really inspiring story of why do I do this? Like, why do I teach? Why do I spend so much time putting this stuff together? I want to tell you an inspiring story of Jamila. Okay. Jamila wrote to me. This was a couple of years ago. She was like, the reason I'm writing to you is to thank you. She has a 27-year-old. She suffered from a chronic illness since birth. And with that, she had a lot of hospital stays and depression, anxiety. And for the last 10 years, she says, I have had no confidence to do anything for myself. I would make plans to do so every year. Nothing would come of them, right? For 10 years, that is a whole decade. And then she's like, since doing a course, I have gained confidence and I've now planned efficiently to do an Islamic course for beginners. SubhanAllah, her goal, look at her goal. And this totally aligns with the purpose in life as a Muslim, to teach children Islam. And I start on November 3rd. And by the way, I was like, okay, a lot of people say that and they get all excited, but they don't start, right? And I asked her, I caught up on her, asked her a couple of months later in December, did you actually start? Did you actually take action on that goal? She's like, yeah, I did. And then this is what she wrote. She's like, now I have some sort of purpose in enjoying life again. I have your planning sheets with my goals, inshallah, stuck on my wall to always remember what helped me start and remember you in my du'as before I go to class every day. It's stories like this that inspire me, to do what I do. And if you guys remember in the beginning of the masterclass, I was like, I would like to share more information about my brand new program, Balance Deen and Dunya. And this is the time. Okay. So if you don't want to hear about it, it's totally fine. If you got what you needed, alhamdulillah, you're most welcome to leave too. But I know that many of you guys are on the road to creating healthy balance and managing your time, right? You want to organize your days, you want to make time for your goals, and you want to become finishers. You want to finish your goals till the end. And you want to get it done right quicker than if you were to try on your own, right? You want to build better habits, because I know building long-term and difficult habits is difficult. It's not fun. So you don't want to do it alone, right? You want to give time to Quran properly. You don't want to procrastinate on the Quran, especially the Quran, right? And then you want to fix your salah, but you feel so lazy and you're thinking, how can I do that in a way that is not time consuming? Because we are all professionals, we have limited time, we have time constraints. And you're thinking that I'm already busy enough. I don't need a lot of information. Okay. And I don't need something that's too overwhelming. I need only the high yield important points that are going to bring me results. And finally, I don't want random tactics, right? I want a step-by-step system because it has a beginning and an ending so that I can, go through it. If that sounds like you, I would love to introduce you and talk more about my program, Balance Deen and Dunya. So type a yes in the chat. Just say yes for me right now if you want to know more about it. We just launched this program last month for the first time. And just from the first cohort, it did so well, alhamdulillah. And it got people such incredible results that I decided to open enrollment for it once again before the year 2020 ends. And that's why I wanted to give the course frameworks for free in this masterclass. For those of you who can't afford to, enroll in the program, you can get started today on your own. And also for those of you who want to dive deeper with me, inshallah, in the program with me and learn more. And also if you want to avail the special enrollment bonus opportunity I have for you guys, because you are action takers. All right, so we are having some yeses, okay? And so basically in this course, I have combined group accountability, coaching, personal feedback on your work, case study breakdowns, and also tools, actionable tools with on-demand course videos, all of that together into a hybrid system. Okay, it's a whole hybrid system. It's not just a course that you take and you forget about it. No, there is a whole system in place. And I like to call this the Balance Deen and Dunya method. So let's see what you're going to learn inside the program. So you're going to learn first, we're going to go in order. I like going in steps, getting organized here. So we're going to create a game plan. We're going to dive deep into the Prophet ﷺ's daily routine, do psychological deep dives and behind the scenes. Then we're going to set goals, and then we're going to align all of those goals with akhira focused intentions, okay, using my spiritual compass technique. Then you are going to select tools from the planning system from according to your personality, your requirements, and your styles. You don't have to force yourself to pick tools that will never work for you. And then you're going to run all of your goals through my 5-step prioritization funnel, and then pick only the goals that are the most important, okay? Then next, what we're gonna do now that we've created a game plan, now you're gonna learn how to match your daily tasks according to your energy levels, and you're going to build a new schedule or routine for yourself using plug-and-play templates and step-by-step tutorials. And I also have a whole system for people who don't have a regular work routine. So people who are working with no 2 days look the same and they have an irregular work routine, I have a whole system for them as well. And then inshallah, next we're gonna do is taking action. Now, this is the hard part. We did the fun part, but this is not so hard because you have a whole step-by-step plan. You don't have to think and waste hours thinking about, oh, how do I, build these cornerstone habits? You have a whole plan. And you're also going to follow your new routine through one of the 3 methods. So there are 3 methods, very effective, but you don't have to do all of them, just one. And then there's, plenty of strategies and tutorials on how to fix up your sleep-wake schedules and deal with day-to-day problems efficiently and use your mental energy for maximum productivity. You're going to track your energy and all that fun stuff. And my signature 2-minute method that works brilliantly for everyone who's struggling with indecisiveness. Then we're going to get over your unique time wasters. You're going to learn how to destroy. You're going to go deeper into all of these problems such as procrastination and laziness and like perfectionism, indecisiveness, overwhelm, distractions, how to get rid of all of that, right? And then develop focus, okay? And you're also going to learn how to just detach yourself from social media from time to time by doing detoxes. And then you're going to learn to stay consistent in your new habits and routines, inshallah, by using some of the secrets of self-motivation from the Quran and Hadith, right? Then you're going to learn how to manage your burnouts and energy dips, deal with negative emotions, run detoxes, and also keep things fun by doing some productive fun activities, right? And finally, and this is the last step, And this is for total go-getters. You don't even have to do this, but even if you did till step 5, that would be amazing. But this is for, people who are total go-getters. So for those of you, you're going to learn that now you've developed the keystone habits. What do you do next? Okay. And how do you increase your iman beyond the bare minimum? And then how do you follow these health rules to become super disciplined and super energetic? Right. And also, how do you develop emotional resilience so you're strong and you have learned how to manage your mood, negative emotions, anger, all that, right? And the best part about this program is a layered system of accountability, because I know it's very hard to do things on your own, especially improvement things. So I have made sure to catch you at every point. One, we're going to have a private community, inshallah. Number two, accountability emails. I'm going to keep up with you and keep asking you, and even in the community as well as through emails. And also, there's going to be a lot of trackers and like built-in checkpoints, as you can see. Okay. So if you're ready to get started on this with me, this new journey, I would love to see you inside Balance Deen and Dunya, and you can enroll now. And this enrollment is going to be open for a limited time. So you can click, I think our organizer is going to share the links in the chat, inshallah. So you can click those links. Okay. And this is the cool part. When you enroll now, you're also going to get a lot of dream bonuses. I say dream because these are the things I wanted, and I know that you guys want to. One, we are going to have live weekly group coaching calls for 3 months. So you and I are going to meet up live, inshallah, in a group setting. And these have been insanely valuable to the first cohort of students. They love these coaching calls. And these are not just random calls where I'm going to answer your questions. No, we have a whole system. We're going to do case study breakdowns, critique sessions on your work. And also we're going to do these case study scenarios, role play, all of those things, fun stuff, and just learn in the most positive environment. So every week people are looking forward to these group coaching calls. Okay. And these are super valuable, by the way, because obviously, they're time consuming. And second thing is, and you guys know, if you've been around on Muslim Youth Program, I'm all about the tools, practical tools, right? So I have 4 bonus vaults of printable material for you: the task vault, the self, the energy, and the groundwork. And you're also going to get, I think, mind maps. Yeah, befriend the Quran mind maps. So all of this, there's so many tools in there that I just couldn't show on the screen. I was like, you know what? You're going to find out, inshallah, pleasantly surprised. And then this is important because this is that surprise I was talking about for the action takers, for the early birds who came here to be live with me. You made time for this masterclass. I want to reward you. I love rewarding action takers. And I'm going to do a complete done for you schedule for you. You don't even have to think too hard. Just do a few activities, and we're going to talk on a one-on-one setting. And it's going to be more than a coaching call. It's going to be a strategy session where I'm going to ask you to do a few activities on your own a few days before, and then we're going to sit together and I'm going to come up with a perfect schedule, a routine, whatever it is that you want to get started, right, to creating that change. And this is insanely valuable, inshallah, because it doesn't get easier than this, because somebody else is doing it for you. And I love doing this. It's just, it takes a lot of time. And then another bonus that you will get if you enroll now, and that is Fix Your Salah Masterclass, because I know that this is something all of us can do. No matter whether we are praying 5 fourth prayer on time, whether we are praying, 4, doesn't matter. We can always improve our khushu. We can always pray in the earliest 5 minutes. We can always wake up for tahajjud and all that. And then this is also a very important bonus, and this is Better Relationships with Difficult Family Members Masterclass. Okay. And I know that this is, something that some of you guys are you really want this, because many of us, we have toxic family members, right? Difficult family members. So we're always thinking, how do I have a good relationship with this person? Because that person is important. It could be your parent, it could be your spouse, sibling, anybody. And you want to know how to communicate with them efficiently. You want to know how to apologize to them, how to set boundaries with them, say no politely, control your anger, manage this negativity that they create. All of that, we're going to learn that in this live masterclass, inshallah. It's going to happen at the end of the course. All of that brings the total value of the program. I made sure to add a lot of value to this program because I like going overboard. And this, with all the bonuses, has come together to around $2,000. But you can get all of that today for, inshallah, $79 only if you choose the payment plan, or you can choose to pay in full at $395. Again, the enrollment links are in the chat, so you can have a look and ask our organizer if you can't find the links. And by the way, this comes with a total 30-day money-back guarantee. You have got nothing to lose. If you don't love it, you can ask for the refund. You're going to get it. I don't want to stand in the way of anybody who needs their money back. That's not the way, a relationship between two Muslims should be. That's what I believe. And also because people who love the program and they love you, we have a good relationship, they're going to stick around, right? So I want to keep the best of the best students for life. And also for the people who, by the way, ask for a refund, I let them keep the printable material. So that's pretty cool. And if you can't decide, if you're like, okay, sure, I love the program, whatever, but I don't have time right now. I'm already too overwhelmed with all the things I have to do. Maybe when I'm done with this goal, or maybe when I'm done that, maybe a month later, if I were to tell you just to do one thing that's going to change everything, and that is organize yourself, manage your time better. There's so many ripple effects of it, right? And if you're worried about doing that on your own and taking longer than you have to, then forget about all your goals, get in the program. And in the program, we are going to create a fresh game plan for you. So you have to start from scratch, nice and smooth, and just follow the system. Just follow the small steps, very doable and easy, total anti-overwhelm, okay? And then there's another one for the people who might be on the fence, they can't decide. I'm afraid I'm going to lose consistency. Something is going to happen and my routine is going to fall apart. And yes, this is a real fear. It is coming from a place of experience, of history, most likely, because you're like, okay, I've tried so many things. They work for some time, but nothing works for long. And I bet it has happened, right, to almost everyone here. But what makes a difference this time is that you have a practical step-by-step solution that you can always fall back to whenever you feel like you're lost. So you just go back to the system, watch the videos again, watch the material again, implement it, you will see the difference. And also there's so many examples of other Muslims as well. And I'm going to be doing case studies of other relatable Muslims so that you can relate and apply those lessons in your life. And also the tight system, the triple layered system of accountability with the coaching calls and support, that is what's going to make all the difference, inshallah, right? And if you're thinking, I wonder if this will even work for me or not, deep down, this is basically like a doubt that you have that I'm good enough, like whether I can even do all of this work. And I know, I want to tell you this, so many of the students from the first cohort were exactly in the same place as you might be. They were nervous, right? It's an investment, right? They first enrolled is scary. It's not just about making a monetary investment. It's about not knowing if it's going to have any return, because you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to take a chance on yourself. But it is so easy to fall back onto the fear of failure and thinking that you're not good enough. But what if you could get those results, right? So I don't want you to let your fears keep you. This is my whole game. This is something I don't want you to do, whether you enroll or not. Don't let your fears or doubts stop you from creating change, a different kind of life. It's the end of 2020. I hope I'm motivating you enough. People throw away remarkable opportunities. They waste years after years just trying to change one habit, like take the first step. You saw the story, 10 years, she was stuck. It is possible. So we have to ask ourselves, if not now, then when? If opportunities like this go by and we're just keep saying no, then when, right? And if any of this sounds familiar, that you want to give more time to the Quran so you can have a better relationship with the Deen, and you want to balance your time, you know you need to get organized first, but you're not sure what's the best way to do that. And you need clear action steps, okay? No mumbo jumbo, no extra stuff. You need accountability and you need a helping hand from someone who gets you, right? And if you are ready to stop wasting your time on meaningless things and become an exemplary career Muslim that you know that you can be, then I would love to see you inside Balance Deen and Dunya, okay? And this is all that you get. I've put it together here. Now I'm going to begin this timer, okay? This is a timer for the action takers, right? So this fast action bonus is going to expire when the timer hits 0. So till then, I'm going to be taking up questions. Just a second. Let me turn on the timer. Again, the cursor keeps getting lost. Okay. So if you want to have a done-for-you schedule via one-on-one strategy session with me, then now is the time to take action. And trust me, you're going to thank yourself, inshallah. Until then, I'm going to look in the Q&A box to see if there's any questions. Oh, okay. So there's a question from Fatima. She says, what is purposeful procrastination? So purposeful procrastination it's a mouthful. I struggle saying it. It's because it's not a bad kind. It's actually a good kind of procrastination. You're not procrastinating because you don't want to do the work, right? You're purposefully delaying that task for a later period of time. So say you have 3 goals that you can get started on today, right? And you're like, okay, how much time do I have? How much energy do I have? I will give this time and energy. I can only have time and energy for one goal. So you're going to leave those goals for later until the first goal is done or until you have more time. Okay. And you're not leaving those goals forever. You're not kissing them goodbye. Okay. What you're doing essentially is you're like, actually be disciplined enough to say, okay, in February or in March, that's when I'm going to start the second goal. Or I'm assuming you're guesstimating how long it's going to take for you to work on the first goal, right? So whenever that work is done, whenever you have finished the first goal, create a guess of how long that's going to take, and then after that you're going to work on goal number 2. Okay, and you delayed that goal number 2 or 3. That was purposeful procrastination, but you didn't do it because you were lazy. You did it because you didn't have time or didn't have enough energy, and you wanted to go in a step-by-step order. And so say you procrastinate on 2 of those goals, but you also procrastinate on the first goal. You also procrastinate on the first goal and you're delaying to take action on that. That is the bad kind of procrastination. That is laziness. That is the nafs. That's the shaitan. Okay? So that's how you know. Any outcome that has a negative consequence is shaitan. Okay, what other we have? Another question is, I didn't understand time blocking. Okay, so time blocking is basically, say you have 5 tasks on your to-do list. What are you going to do? You're going to be like, the first task is maybe writing an article. Okay, that's something I do, so I'm just going to give you that example. Now you're going to be like, I'm going to write this article tomorrow from 4 to 5 p.m. But you're going to block that time for just the article. You're not going to be like, okay, I'm going to write that article tomorrow at 4 p.m. And when the time comes, you're doing the article, you're also opening like 10 other tabs, you have your phone in your hand, you're talking to people. That's not time blocking. Time blocking is when you block that time in the calendar and then you just give that time to that one task. With focus, you get it done. And then after that, block is over, you're like, oh, okay, I did that. You feel relieved. I didn't do anything. I didn't waste my time. What else? Sabuhi asked the question, what will we do in the plateau mode? That's a really good question. So what do you do in the plateau mode? In the plateau mode, you hold on to the habits that you have started, the new habits. Say you've started the habit of eating healthy and exercising, or forget exercising. Just say you've started the habit of eating healthy. Okay. And because of that, you have to create your own meals. And there's a lot of work that goes into eating healthy, especially if the family's not eating healthy. Then you're just going to do that work. And for a few months, or for a few weeks, whatever, you are eating healthy. And after some time, you're like, you know what? Oh, this is coming naturally to me. This is not so hard. Because in the beginning, you're like, oh, I have to do this. Oh, you're using trackers and stuff. But then after some time, you're like, oh, this is coming naturally to me. Okay. Then that is the time when you know, okay, I can add another habit. Okay, if obviously you have the time and energy. So that's probably the time where you could add exercise, right? But in that time, you're just focusing on maintaining that habit and taking breaks, doing other fun activities, giving yourself time to just get into that habit. So plateau mode is the best kind of mode, okay? You're not working on a lot of new habits in that time. Okay, we have so many questions. Just a quick reminder, only 10 minutes left. So you guys, this is just as a reminder. I'm gonna give you another reminder in 5 and then 1, inshallah. Okay. Let's see. This is a good one. Marcin says, after a time period, even after achieving goals and routines, it becomes redundant. How can we make it more interesting? Perfect question. And that is where the productive fun activities comes in and new habits. So you have to always be in the growth mode, not in the growth mode, like being growth oriented. This is what it means. So when you have achieved a goal, right? When you have achieved a set of habits, you are doing them regularly, look for other things. Look for other productive habits that you can build, because you can never have a lot of amazing, you cannot become so, on the top that there's nothing else for you to do. There is always going to be something new to do. Pick up the Sirah book, pick up the Sunnah, look for something else that you can do. Okay. And then you're they become redundant, they can become boring. Then that's when you add productive fun activities. So if you have time pockets, look for activities that are not only a good use of your time, they keep things interesting and spontaneous and fun, like taking a culinary class or joining another class or traveling to this place. Keep things fun. We're totally allowed to do that. Okay. So because if you don't do that, then things can get boring and you might end up like giving up on your goals and routines. You'll be like, oh, this is too boring. I'm sick of doing this, right? So you got to keep things interesting by looking for those activities. Okay. Sabine says, what would you say is the most effective thing to keep your energy up physically and mentally? First things, that's why I keep talking about it, non-negotiable, sleep. If your sleep wake schedule is on point, if you're having a proper healthy sleep, you are going to feel mentally fresh. Then recognize the time when you're feeling the most fresh, okay? And then third, eat healthy. If you're not eating healthy, or you're having, and if you're working immediately after a large meal, you're going to be drowsy, right? So if you're going to be physically and mentally fresh, you gotta it's the same concept from centuries ago. Nothing new, no reinvention of the wheel here. Eat healthy and sleep on time. If you do that and you're drinking water, three things, your physical energy is going to be off the roof, and so will your mental energy be. And also, if you're detoxing from the social media, that can also help too, because it can make you feel tired without even doing anything if you're constantly on your phone. What happens when you fail? What do you do then? There's actually a whole article on failure, by the way, that I've created 7 tips to get back up and how to get over failure. You can check that out. It's on the blog. Just type in the search bar failure. It's going to come up. But yeah, when you fail, that's totally fine. Very normal human being behavior, but you just have to recognize the pattern of failure. If you're failing again and again at the same thing, then you're doing something wrong. But if you're failing because it's something really difficult and it's something, you're doing for the first time, you're scared, that's totally fine. That's normal. But if there's a pattern, recognize it and learn from it. Muslims, we learn from failure. Okay, we don't wallow in despair. And whether it comes to habits or failure in goals, whatever it is, learn from it, get back up, and motivate yourself. Do that. How intense should be the cornerstone habit of exercise be? Actually, it doesn't. Sadiq says that. This doesn't even have to be that intense, to be honest. It's all about being active. So it doesn't even have to be about exercise. It's all about being physically active, because as 21st century, these millennials, we are all so sloppy. We're like couch potatoes. So even if you're getting up and walking or jogging, it's all about looking for physical activities that are fun for you. So you don't have to stand in front of the mirror and like do these crazy HIIT exercises and like do crazy dumbbell exercise. You don't have to do that if you don't like it. Absolutely not. This is all just about looks and stuff. If you want to feel great, you can do that even with sports and any sort of physical activity. And you start with a small period of time to get your body used to it. Don't start off with 2 hours of exercise every day. Start off with 15 minutes. That's a perfect time for a cardio or something, okay? And then with time, add it to 20. And then our goal should be at least 35 minutes, right? 25, 35 minutes, 5 times a week, medically speaking. Okay. Actually, okay, so first I have a question from people who wanting to enroll. One, yes, is it possible to pay that full amount later onwards? That's totally possible. So if you want to win the bonus, you can even do that, this fast action bonus, with a payment plan. So you can just sign up with the first payment and you can get access to the course as well as this bonus. But you have to do that in this masterclass. So the second question is, Sajada says, do I earn a certificate after the class? Actually, I'm even thinking of doing that. I haven't created the certificate for the first cohort, but if you like it, then totally we can create a certificate for everyone. That's totally possible, totally doable, no problem. It actually makes you feel good. I like this idea. It does make you feel really, like you achieve something. That reward psychology kicks in here. Okay. How do I gain interest? This is from an anonymous person. How do I gain interest in an Islamic activity I took previously and now I'm feeling burdened, which makes me feel so guilty? I don't want to feel that way, but I can't help. Listen, if you're feeling too burdened, then you're pushing yourself to burnout, right? As long as it's a fard activity, no excuses. You got to learn how to do with that, right? But other than that, if it's like a tafsir class or like a course that you've taken, and if it's like taking up too much of your time and energy, and you're feeling like, oh, I'm such a bad Muslim if I leave this habit, you got to understand, go back to the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. Take up good deeds only as much as you're able to consistently. Think about it. What if afterwards you are unable to stay consistent? You're going to have this fear of, you're going to fail and have very low self-confidence in yourself. So if you back out on time and if you pick up goals selectively, then you won't even reach that point. But say you have already, started this activity, then slowly start detaching yourself, not detaching, like lowering the amount of time that you're giving to it, and time and energy. That's totally fine, but don't leave it, because if you've started something really good, then stick to it. It's just this is shaitan too. It comes in our way. Whenever we're doing something good, he's going to bog you down and make you feel like, oh, this is so bad. So try to make it fun, try to make it enjoyable, and reduce the number of time, the time that you spend on it, but don't leave it if you can, right? Then how to fight screen addiction if you have work on your phone? That's a good question. So say you are working, because today everybody's like working from their phones and laptops. So what I do, so I have these screen free hours. You have to have the screen free time. Okay, I'm going to come back to that question. We have an urgent question. Are the online materials available for lifelong access? Yes, they are. Okay, so you're going to get access to the videos and the material as well for as long as you need, and you will be able to download the printables as well. Okay, so this question, okay, back to the question. I didn't really understand. I'm from Holland. Is it possible to pay $400 later? Yeah, I don't want you to break the bank. Okay, so I just want to tell you something here. If you really want to enroll, and just get started with a payment plan. Do you meet with your students? I actually don't meet, but I do online classes, right? So in the group coaching, we are going to meet virtually. And by the way, how can I even meet? It's Corona. You can't even travel anywhere. Okay, Ashley, why not I turn on my video? Are the online materials available for lifelong access? Yes, they are. I think I answered this right now. They are all available for lifelong access. You have access to the workshops, the master classes, the bonuses, all that, inshallah. Okay. And also you have access to any future updates of the program. So if I, for example, add another bonus workshop to the program, you're going to have access to that as well. So my first cohort of students, they didn't get access to this, the Better Relationships with Difficult Family Members Masterclass. But this is something new that I added, and this is what they're going to get access to as well, because they signed up. So anyway, the timer has hit 0. I can now indeed turn on my video. Just give me a second, guys. I need to fix the hijab. Okay. Hello again. Assalamu alaikum once again. Now I can answer the rest of the questions. Oh, we have Alia, one of the students from our cohort. I love you, Alia, for saying, take this leap. It is worth it. Wait a second. Sorry. We have 22 questions. Oh my. Okay, so this can take a while. Don't worry. I'm here. I've got no other place to be. I mean, I do have to eat something, but that's totally fine. Can happen later. All right, so let me just answer the questions as they come. Is it the nafs or shaitan in sequence? Mohsin asks, is it the nafs or shaitan in sequence that causes procrastination? It's actually, see, this is a very deep concept, okay? This is the whole concept. I like to call this the spiritual anatomy, and this is a whole class that I take on its own. Let me just fix my head. So basically, procrastination is shaitan's whispers that started, but shaitan is enticing the nafs, and the nafs is inside of you. The Prophet ﷺ said that I also have a nafs, but I have tamed it, right? So we all have that nafs, and that nafs is what listens to shaitan. So shaitan's whispers, they're not going to affect the aql. The aql is the logic. Aql is the intellect, right? It's a neutral intellect. And then the qalb is the spiritual heart that makes the decision. But the nafs is that animalistic instinct that is going to listen to shaitan's whispers, right? Anyway, can't go deep down into that. I know it's a little confusing. If you don't understand it, that's totally fine. You don't have to, but just understand that we have two negative forces. One is inside of us, nafs. Second is shaitan. That is the external negative force. Okay. Next is, this is a tough one. What do you do when organization is not following proper timings? And how do you say no to seniors when you're in the military? Honestly, I know how to say no, but I can't give you advice on how to say no to seniors when you're in the military, because I'm not in the military. So I don't really know how to answer this one, but I do know how to say no, right? So how to say no first, I didn't understand the question first. Why do you want to say no when they're not following the proper timings? Like, what do you actually have to say no to? Okay. I don't know if that's is like two different questions or it's the one question. But anyway, the way you say no is first there are a few rules. One, and all from the Quran and Sunnah, the truth. You speak the truth. Most of the times it works. I would say 99% of the time it works. And whether the other person likes it or not. But if you speak the truth, then you're not lying and making up excuses that they can later remember, and then you get into this trap that you've created for yourself, right? You can't do that. You shouldn't, because obviously lying is totally like hypocritical, not allowed in Islam. Anyway, one is you okay, losing my sense of refocus at this point. So you say no by speaking the truth. One. Number two, you remember your etiquettes, your polite manners when you're speaking the truth. Three, you explain. You give a reason. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, right? So if the reason is something, when you're saying no, and the reason is something that they can be like, no, but they can make an argument about it. And then you have to like fight that reason, then don't say the reason. Just say no politely, right? Whatever reason, you don't have to explain yourself. But if the reason is going to make it easy for the other person to accept, and they're not going to argue back and they're going to understand, then give the reason. So for me, it could be like, I have these time constraints, I don't have the energy, I'm too overwhelmed, I'm too stressed, whatever the reason. Okay, so it's truth, remember the manners, and remember that saying no is not haram. You just have to you just have to say it politely and not lie. Remember those two rules. Okay, so this one question, it keeps popping up. This has never happened before, that I've had like 30, 40 questions. This has never happened. So I'm going a little frantic here, back and forth. So please bear with me. I'm sorry if I'm taking more than usual of your time and maybe you're getting annoyed in the process. Please don't get annoyed with me. Okay. So, okay, yeah, this question that I was actually asked, I started answering, but I didn't. How to fight screen addiction if you have work on the phone? So what I do is I create little boundaries for myself, even on the screen. So for example, if you're doing your work, make sure the other tabs are closed. Okay, don't give yourself reasons to procrastinate and delay and just jump back and forth between all these tabs. This is what happens if you have like 20 tabs open, 2 different Chrome browsers. What's going on? So if you're working, make sure you have boundaries on the screen. Okay, that's one. Number two, have some screen free time. Give yourself a break from the screen from repeated intervals. So whatever those intervals are that work for you, you do that, okay? An hour, hour and a half, use the Pomodoro technique if you have to. 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of screen free time, right? So you got to create these boundaries yourself. They're not going to create on their own, right? And there's no way around it. Your work is on the phone. What do? You stop working? Can't do that. So create boundaries. Hope that gives you a few strategies, but I gotta like move faster. Yes, actually, we do have course action takers. Okay, we have, can you please wait a second. Can you please do the pager briefly? Okay, I'm gonna review it. It's so first, prioritizers. You have to prioritize between your goals. Then when you have selected your goal, then you have to take action. So you have to become an action taker. You can't just plan in your head and like on the paper you have all these pretty plans, bullet journals full, but you're not taking action. How do you take action? First, recognize if you are a chronic procrastinator or a partial procrastinator. If you have chronic, go do the 2 things. One, which is fix your salah and pray it in the earliest time. And also pray Fajr. Don't miss that. Remember the 3 knots hadith. The second thing is, if you're a partial procrastinator, recognize the reason why you're procrastinating and then beat that reason accordingly and set yourself up for success by goal digging. So that's the third one, G, goal diggers. And there's a whole system. We already talked about it. And then efficiency, now that you've, done the goal digging, you've planned everything, what do you do now? You have to like get excited. You have to get started on it. How? Motivation. Okay. Motivation is going to help you get started. Look for ways, watch videos, listen to people, do these. Sometimes I just go to my family. I'm like, motivate me. Just talk to me. Just tell me why I'm doing this in the first place. When I'm feeling really down, it helps. It does. So look for external ways that work for you, okay? Because obviously not everybody has good friends. Not everybody has a great environment, an Islamic, pure environment. So you have to look for that. And today everything is online. So no problem. You have online communities, you have BDD community, you have Muslim youth programs. So even whether you enroll in BDD now or no, I'm still going to see you around a Muslim youth program. Use that. And then discipline. You got to learn to do the work even when you don't want to do it. Okay. And if you are praying early on time and waking up for Fajr, that's going to translate and that's going to build that discipline that's going to trickle down into the rest of your activities as well. And then finally, efficiency. No, that's actually the second last. We already talked about it. The last one is regular. So the regular one is all about being consistent. And remember the 95% consistency, 5% management, breaks, energy management, right? Giving yourself a leeway. And remember the maintenance and the developer mode. So many things to remember, even I'm forgetting. Okay. No problem. By the way, this recording is going to be available for the next 3 days. Okay. Again, all of this is to make you take action. If I don't put these deadlines, nobody's going to take action. That's how we are. That's human psychology. So 3 days, go over it, review the concept, take notes if you have to. What else? Okay. For those of you who are raising hand, I just want to ask you, you can type in the chat why you're raising the hand, right? Because I'm a little confused. Should I unmute you? What's going on? So just type in the chat, or if you have a question, just type in the Q&A box. Yeah, there's this question. My family always stays up late. I'm not able to sleep early because we eat late around 10 to 11 p.m. I can't get enough sleep till 1 or 2. I can't get to sleep till 1 or 2 a.m. That's the story of every millennial's life. 1 to 2 is early. They're sleeping at 3 or 4 a.m. And it makes you miss Fajr. Then the entire day, I'm guilty. I feel so bad about it. Yes, spending time with the family is great. But you got to remember, what is more important, Salah or dinner at 10 p.m.? Priorities, right? So if it is coming in the way, and some people, they can eat late, sleep late, and still wake up for Fajr. But if you are not like that, if you're this person who sleeps like me, you're like a dead person when you're sleeping, you can't even hear the alarm, then you gotta take that into consideration and prioritize and eat dinner early, even if you have to eat it alone, right? I know it sounds sad. Maybe you can do another thing is motivate your family to eat early, like talk to them, tell them your Fajr is getting missed, right? Or if it doesn't work like that for your family, then you yourself eat early. They're a very simple way, right? There are ways to fix our problems. It's just they're hard because you have to go against the flow, against the people around you. And I've gone against my fair share of times. I know it's not easy. I can actually relate to that when I was living in the hostel back in medical school. My roommates would sleep at 2 a.m. and I wanted to sleep at 10. And so they would turn on these lights and study, and the lights would disturb me. And I had to buy those eye patches. Why am I like acting? Anyway, so I had to buy those eye patches, and and I had to go to all of these extreme measures to wake up early. And then when I woke up in the Fajr time, I would like tiptoe myself out of the door to read Quran outside on the stairs. Just telling you, it's not impossible. When there's a will, there's a way, but you just got to make those tweaks. Okay, next. Being ambitious to acquire new good habits. Okay, so, oops, I missed it. So there's this question from Mohsin. Mohsin, your name keeps coming up. You have asked way too many questions. I'm just saying there's not a limit. It's totally fine. So being ambitious to acquire new good habits and being content with your present state and habits. Where does one draw the line? Basically, what you're trying to say is that you always want to do more. You want to achieve more and more habits. And how do you be content with your present state? When you have achieved a little bit and you're happy with it, where do you draw that line? Well, self-satisfaction does not come that easy to overachievers, like people who are just in this race. But you got to remember that it's mostly about the small things. If you're doing those small things right, you have these sunnah habits in place, you have this peace and serenity about your day. Be grateful. This goes back to the lack of gratitude. It could, right? Very easily, we have to be grateful for our achievements and our goals and our ambition. Even that itself is something to be grateful for. So if you're not grateful, we can easily miss on this progress and on how far we have come along. And we're always going to be in this negative state of low self-esteem, or like hungry state of guilt, or maybe no satisfaction with self. And that is a very bad place to work from. And what is the point of achieving the goals if you're not ever going to be satisfied? And the problem is, as Muslims, we can never be 100% satisfied with our efforts, right? Because also know this, that our efforts are not going to take us to Jannah. It is Allah's mercy. We know that, right? So it's not about like constantly being dissatisfied with yourself. It's just being satisfied enough that you're grateful for your achievements, your goals, your energy and ambition, but you're not so satisfied that you're in the comfort zone and you're like, you know what, I'm in a good place, I'm in a happy place, I'm going to stay like this forever, I don't need to improve. So it's about balancing that. Okay, what else? Yeah, you do get the replay of this video, Junaina says. This person says, in future, do you have any other type of this program? Basically, are you trying to say the enrollment is going to open in the future? It's going to open in 2020. I don't know when, actually. So for now, I'm going to work one-on-one with the second cohort, inshallah ta'ala. And the enrollment is going to close in a few days. I think 4 days. Okay. Is it possible to leave the live? Gotta help someone, to be honest, but much love. I like the much love back to you. Of course you can leave. Jazakallah for your time. You've been with me for almost 2 hours. This is amazing. I really appreciate you guys for sticking around. You don't even have to stick around till the end, but of course you can leave. No hard feelings. Positivity, Akira, is a practice. If you want to be a positive thinker, you got to practice. Positivity does not come. It's a daily choice. It's a choice you have to make every single day to be positive, to be happy, right? And you got to think like that every day. It's not going to come on its own. There's no shortcut around it, right? Farah Mufti says, I asked 2 questions. 1, how to make decisions. I get double-minded about things. Okay. So again, this goes back to that 2-minute indecisiveness method, but I'm just going to share like a quick way to help you decide on a day-to-day basis. 1, you got to decide, and sometimes it's really that easy. You got to decide on the basis of 2 things. 1, first, how much time and energy you have. And second, so you have 2 things. What do you want to do? What do you not want to do? Okay. And then what do you have to do? What you don't have to do. So you have 2 factors. 1 is the importance and 1 is the want factor, right? And importance always trumps the want factor. So if something really important, you got to do it, then it's always going to have to trump that want factor. And it's really that simple. So you got to decide time, energy, importance, the want factor. Harij Mustafa says, Jazakallah khairan, sister. Amen. You're so sweet. May Allah bless you. May Allah bless you. You are so sweet for saying that. R stands for, in pager, R stands for irregular. Oh, Marvey is here too. Oh, Assalamu alaikum, Marvey. By the way, I love my first cohort students. They enrolled in the program and they didn't have to take this masterclass. They know this stuff, but they're still here. I don't think I promoted this link to you even in the group. SubhanAllah, they still made time to attend. And this is what I meant when I said lifelong students and friends, right? We're not just here learning. We can learn from books. It's all about an experience. Jawaria says, Assalamu alaikum, Jawaria says, may Allah bless you in multitudes for this. Seriously, you have a special place in my heart and you in my heart. I will keep mailing you. I can't afford this program, but inshallah, one day I will. Inshallah. And one day I will look forward to having you inside. And then other times seeing you in Muslim Youth program, right? Okay. So what do you do when you feel like you don't achieve anything? What do you do when you feel like you don't achieve anything? You achieve something and then you're going to feel better. I'm just kidding. Use the strategies I told you in the system. You know, plan out your goal, pick one goal, plan it out, and try to achieve something. Pick an easy goal. Pick an easy goal that you can actually finish, right? So for example, let's take the example of Quran. I like doing that because it just inspires people to pick up the Quran more, right? So if for the Quran, the goal is to finish the tafsir or finish the translation, don't make that goal. Make the goal, I want to do Surah Baqarah. Okay, I want to do Surah Yasin. That's your goal. Okay, make it a goal. And then plan it out, finish it. You're going to feel like, oh, that was easy. I did it, right? It's all about setting smaller versions of goals and then finishing them, and then you're going to feel what you want to feel. So if you're looking to feel that confidence and, esteem booster, you're not going to get that unless you actually finish something, right? So the best direction would be to go pick up a goal, finish it, and that confidence is going to do the rest for you, inshallah. One way, okay, so this person says, how do I stop daydreaming and concentrate? So whether it's studies or work, whatever it is, concentration, there are a few tactics. One of them, I'm always talking about tactics that work. And these have not only worked for me, for the people that I've shared this with, and this is not like something I created, the Pomodoro technique. It's a very famous technique. It actually works. So just use that, right? Use that 25-minute intervals, focus, and then 5 minutes break. And how do you concentrate? How do you get yourself to get up and like focus on the task? Focus only on the first 15 minutes of that task, right? Just focus that I just have to get through the first 15 minutes. And then after that, I'll see if I want to do it or not. And what happens is once you get through the first 15 minutes, and this is called the 15 minutes resistance technique. Once you get over those first 15 minutes, the procrastination is gone. And now you're like, you know what? I already started it. You know what? I might as well just finish. That's what happens. So don't focus on the whole task. Focus on the first, and then it takes time for your mind to get into the groove, right? Once you're in the groove, then it's easy. Then game is easy. Please share some strategies to develop self-discipline. You want to develop self-discipline, the best place to start, I always say, is your non-negotiables, your cornerstone or keystone habits. So basically, keystone habits is a concept from the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And I really like this concept. And it's all about habits that are going to serve as a trigger for everything else. So if you do this one habit, it is going to help you develop all the rest of the habits as well. It's going to create basically a change in you. And that change is going to trickle down into everything you do. But that trigger happens when you develop that keystone habit. And what are those keystone habits? Those are exercise. And he talks about others. I believe exercise definitely a keystone habit, but as Muslims, our keystone habit is given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is salah. If your salah is fixed, it's on point, that's a keystone habit. If you can discipline yourself to do that, then that discipline is going to trickle down into everything. Okay, so don't worry about disciplining. Like, you don't have to join a Chinese fight club to be disciplined. That's totally fine. You don't have to take cold showers like, people suggest that you do, these productivity secular gurus, they work too. But I'm just saying that for us Muslims, we don't need to do that. We have the salah. That's where we should start. And yeah. Mariam says, I love the program. Jazakallah khair, Mariam, dear Ayman. I'm in India. It's time for sleep. All right. Good night. Have a good night. Take care of yourself. And I think I've answered 46 questions. SubhanAllah. I hope you guys got something. I hope I did help clear just even a little bit of your doubt. That would make it all worth it to me. I love doing this. I love helping. And if even one person goes away from this thinking, they achieved something, they learned something new, that's worth it. All of this effort is worth it. So Jazakallahu khair, everyone, for being here. Your time is very valuable to me, okay? And that's why I did my best. I'm not gonna lie, I really did my best to make it worth your time in 1 hour. Like, put as much of information as I can. I think I squeezed in a little too much, but you can always come back to this and watch the recording. And I hope you guys will stay safe, take care of yourselves. And I think I've answered pretty much all the questions. Other questions that I didn't answer, they were repeat questions. I had answered in other ways before. Jazakallahu khair, everyone. Take care of yourselves and your families. Remember me in your du'as. If you have enrolled indeed in the program, then I will see you on the inside. We're going to have an awesome time working together, inshallah ta'ala. And for those of you who have not enrolled, it's totally fine. No hard feelings. Inshallah, we're going to see each other on the blog or other places, right? Emails. Yeah. Take care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going to end the meeting now.